Bridges help us overcome obstacles. Bridges help us facilitate movement for goods that benefit us economically and help us survive. Bridges connect communities and neighbors. Bridges are essential infrastructure for our mere survival. Hi, I'm Roshun Austin, cultural anthropologist, chief executive, community development practitioner, and neighbor. I invite you to join me in conversations with my neighbors as we talk about Bridging Memphis. Hey, today my guest is Chris Collier. I fondly call him my community development boo. I don't know when we met. I can't remember exactly. I just know it was love at first sight. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, Roshun. Thanks for having us here. It's a beautiful day in Klondike, Smoky City. Yes, I do remember the day that we met, and spoke briefly about all the things that have happened since. So to start, if we want to, it was several years ago, back when then Mayor Jim Strickland released the 3.0 press release for all the development that we've seen happen over the past 6-8 years, and you were right there next to him. And he says, "Ro, you got to meet Chris. You got to meet Chris." And so, and from that day forward, it was just been a connection. And watching you do everything you do really inspires and keeps everything kind of on the level. Just keeps it fresh. So thank you for that.
Yeah, Chris, I want to talk more about why I was so connected to you, and it wasn't just because we were introduced by the former mayor. It was something else. It was how you did this work and who you are in the community where you live and do most of your work. And so that was so important because you weren't hired by government. You didn't even work for a community development corporation. You were a neighbor in the community, and I want to talk more about that. First, Chris, tell us, what community in Memphis you are working and living in.
Well, I actually started 13 years ago on March 22nd, shortly before this airs, and we're over in Berclair, Nutbush area, Highland Heights. So we've got Kingsbury and Wells Station schools, Grahamwood. It's a very diverse and a pretty much, it was an underserved community. So yeah, just starting to do it was a fluke. I just saw some things, some trash I didn't like, and started picking it up, and I was angry, and it just kept going and going, and then it became this friends group for park, the Friends of Gaisman Park, that was helped to lead change and advocate for parks across the city and for safer neighborhoods. So it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about your personal history as a Memphian and how your passion for being a Memphian led you into this work. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Bridging Memphis. We're going to have a long conversation with Chris Collier, my community development boo, representing, screaming out, Berclair, I can't even say it, representing Berclair, Gaisman, the Heights. So, Chris, tell us a little bit about your personal backstory, about your relationship to Memphis.
Well, I was born in Memphis over on Union Avenue where Elvis died, not at the same time. It's a parking lot, a parking garage now, so it is true you can't go back home. But so that was back in 1975. And I've been in Memphis my whole life. My earliest memories of the Memphis that most people know would probably be around, right around 14 to 15 years old. I had a friend who had a little booth down on Beale Street, and my parents would drop me off on the weekends, and he would do magic tricks and entertain and do all this fun stuff. And it's not the Beale Street you see now. There might have been 15 or 20 bars or restaurants there. It wasn't all this great development. Even then, the music and everything around was just really, it's just so raw, just so beautiful. And to be around that much talent and to watch that city move, that downtown move, it was just, it really led into a lot more things that I never would have figured when it comes to like music and art and culture and things that really formed the things that I appreciate.
Well, I'm still stuck that your parents dropped you or allowed you to be dropped off on Beale Street at 14.
Right.
At that time,
Isn't that
it
wild?
wasn't the redeveloped bill.
No, it wasn't.
It was a bill that had been abandoned.
Yeah, it was.
For the most part, there were some businesses there, but it was a bill that looked like the flight that happened after 68.
It really did. There was room to busk. I mean, you could still make a dollar over there. There was a lot of talented people, but
Yeah.
it wasn't, and it could carry that energy, but not like a lot of the energy that we see today. Now we have all that infill, and it's that constant stream. But even at 14, for me, that was, I didn't know at the time that, oh no, this thing is going to blow up. This thing's going to be huge one day. No, there was enough people there to keep me entertained and teach me things that I probably shouldn't have learned then.
Polishing the line.
But I needed to know them eventually, so hey, it's part of the stories of Beale Street, right?
Yeah. So, but talk about your neighborhood where you lived and then where you live now.
Oh, wow. We started and grew up in Fraser uh, and lived there till 13. And then that white flight that you spoke of flittered me on off out to the suburbs for a very short-lived stay because things happen. And so soon enough, I was right back, probably about a year and a half, I think they lasted out there. So, and then, yeah, I ended up back in Memphis. And it's just so mutable. There's just so much. When I got to Berclair, there was so much that could be done.
Yeah. So, what your early experience in Berclair? About what year was that?
So that'd be 2013, and so this was 3 administrations ago. And I remember Gaisman Park from our youth, and people told stories. They used to have little league girls, little league softball, and have all these great activities, but we didn't have any of that. We had some people that would show up, but we didn't get a lot of maintenance. I think we were on a
So,
28-day cut, so it wasn't set up to do what a park's supposed to do. So that's where the work started, and that's where the advocacy started.
so tell us exactly what did you do? What did you do as a neighbor, and then where do you live in relationship to this park?
Well, I started just picking up litter, and it started along the street because we were going to have a housewarming, and people were going to come over, and I don't want to see a dirty street. And it was quick, and it was something, but then it got addictive. I said, well, these people like to come here and eat, all right? So we can work on that. We just have to keep all this debris up, and then you start meeting more people, and then they start bringing more people, and then you have people that are pushing strollers because now they know they have a clean park. Now we've got families coming, and then we end up getting a zero-turn mower to help maintain the soccer field.
So how did you get the zero turn? Were you being paid for this at all?
No, no, no. Well, we started the Friends group, and so we've advocated, and we've gotten lots of grant funding.
Mm-hmm.
A big portion of that comes from the Shelby County Commission, and because we wanted to do things that were that we could control, that we don't have to call the city, we don't have to wait, and so we used some of that funding to get a little zero turn, and then just kept cutting, kept cutting. We had church had donated some soccer goals before we just had sticks in the ground. So those came in, and people kept coming, and people kept coming.
So this is exactly why I think I fell in love with you, because you were just a regular citizen out there who lived across from a park, who formed a friends group, who started picking up litter, who started taking this on. That we were lacking in inner city neighborhoods with city services. The infrastructure was crumbling, and you took this on.
And somebody had to do it. Somebody had to do it, and anybody could have done this. It had to be done just to keep the sanity. Never could I have imagined that we would see how much growth that we have. But still to this day, even if it gets bigger and better every day, I still have to go out there for that 30 or 40 minutes. And that's all it takes. Just finish the coffee, go out there, do the work, and then you sit back and you wait for it. And then the people start coming. Then you get more ideas, then you get more people. So it's a springboard. You start at the bottom. Right? You have to start somewhere, so it's easy to start at the bottom. But yeah, so to watch it all come together, and now to be able to enjoy it so much, that sounds crazy. Because for a couple of months there, I was like really mad at some litter, and so it really affected the attitude.
Yeah.
And now it's more a performance. I play some music in the morning, just as loud as I can, whatever. James Brown, Sam and Dave, the Isley Brothers, music that everybody knows, and it keeps it a nice rhythm, and the trees seem to like the music, and the park stays cleaner. We still do get litter, but now when we get it, it's more water bottles and Gatorade bottles than it was beer bottles and liquor bottles.
Yeah. So, Chris, I kind of promote this idea of loving your neighbor as yourself. And it's not my idea, of course. It's like the second commandment from the Bible, in the Christian tradition. But you find it throughout religious traditions, this whole idea of loving our neighbors. And I think at some point after we first met, I started to follow you online. I think we started to follow one another on social media. And so I was just watching the things that you were doing, and my little cultural anthropologist heart was like, oh my God, this is authentic connection to other humans. This is the example of how we should love our neighbors, and it expands to love our communities, not just individual neighbors or the people we know in our family, but our entire community. And so I had this story about, at some point, I know it was much later, after knowing you for many years at this point, and it was around 2019. I know because I was building an apartment development in Fraser, and something happened to your golf cart that you were using to help you pick up litter in your neighborhood. And you said something about it online. Maybe were you raising money?
Yeah, well, we had started. You actually contributed to the one that the Heights started, because it was going to be a power chair for my differently abled body, which was a different journey. But they said, hey, you know what? We could probably put you in one of these. It's a lot cheaper. Are you going to be able to hold yourself in it? I said, well, you know what? If it's a lot cheaper, we'll try it. And yes, it did work. It's a beautiful thing. I was on it this morning, as a matter of fact, still collecting. And yeah, the way that it took a unique approach, and that was about as unique as we could get, in showing people something they've never seen before, right? You've never seen a neighbor that would go down and do this every day. So yeah, having a golf cart, it also helps us to get elderly neighbors to grocery stores, delivering holiday meals, and just carrying equipment out for people to do cleanups. So
yeah. So you're saying I don't remember, and I've been working in community a long time, and I guess I'm getting older. I contributed to something that the Heights Community Development Corporation was doing, and then separately.
And then separately, after that one started to fail, because you were getting a cart for Renaissance, I think.
Yeah, so I was buying a golf cart. I went to Lads, and I knew that you needed help, and I was so impressed with the work that you were already doing in your neighborhood. Not a paid staff person, not a paid actor, and I said, well, I should get two. One for my development, which is 6 acres in the hilly terrain of Fraser, and one for this guy who I've fallen in love with because of his work in community.
You're too sweet. You're too sweet. But yes, it was, and not still every day. And I call it Roshunda.
You call it Roshunda.
I call it Roshunda.
That's my bad.
I know.
When they use Roshunda, that means I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing.
But that ain't about you doing it, what I'm doing. But yeah, no, it's just just that little affinity that I have for all the work that you do and all the amazing things that you're doing, to reach out and to actually notice and acknowledge and be generous from your spot. It's been forever life-changing, especially in this little evolution that we've started here in Berclair.
Yeah, so I just felt like, and maybe we're a better world if neighbors feel this way about giving to one another, because sometimes we get caught up in our little spaces, our group. I work only in this neighborhood, or I work only in this neighborhood. But this whole podcast is about bridging and this connectivity that is necessary for all of us to survive. And so that is essential in our work. And so, we can be philosophers today to talk about community development in general. And yes, there's a work sector called community development. But when I think about community development, it's just how do we help our neighbors? How humans survive because we help our neighbors. And so I was honored to deliver a TED Talk in early 2023, and it was about building community. I can't help but talk about building community.
I was there.
I know you. Looking out in the audience, that people like you pushed me, propelled me, and I was able to get through that because it's just not natural for me to want to do that, even though people believe that. And so, one of the things I talked about was our human survival, and the earliest civilization And as a cultural anthropologist, I have to talk about a woman in anthropology. And so I was talking about Mead, Margaret Mead, and they always define civilizations, men, anthropologists, as advancement of their tools. And she was different when it is attributed to her, so we don't know if she said it exactly. But the civilization was defined by a heel femur.
Yes.
So it's the large bone in our body. If your femur is broken, you cannot walk, you cannot move. And so if a femur is healed, that means someone, a neighbor, pulled you to safety. So you weren't eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or some lion or something out there. You weren't killed because you were out in the element. Someone pulled you into shelter. And so that was what drew me to you. And that's what I mean about bridging. So it's the connection that we have as humans. It's the connection that we have across neighborhoods. It's the connection that we have across cities in our region. And so I forever, you will always be my community development boy. I tend to have one certain things, one fantasy husband, one community development boo, one, one, well, I have a lot of jobs, but really kind of one job. And so we can talk more about, where we think community development should go. What do you want to see in Memphis neighborhoods as a Memphian who loves the city as much as I love this city? Let's talk more about.
Oh no, and that's the thing is there's always opportunity to go out, and that's one thing you can go and volunteer. And some people love to get out and do it. Some people only do it when the camera's rolling. It still works. It still helps. But I think the biggest, most important part is that one person can do a lot, even if it's only a little. So yeah, it's not that hard to be a good neighbor. Uh, it's easier if you try to be a great neighbor.
Yeah.
Because then, everybody's got something that they can bring to the table, something to share, some wisdom. Some people have treasure, some people have time, some people have talent. Uh, so when you're looking at a community, we have to make sure that we're activating all three of those areas and whichever people that we can get. Okay, well, some people are good at donating, some people are good at building things, some people are great at, just doing the service of it. And I think almost everyone has a little bit of one of these talents that they could actually just apply themselves towards, or to notice that they're doing it. I think sometimes that we're doing it and we don't recognize the impact that it can have.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we're not letting other people have that chance. So there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of there's so much that needs to be done. So specifically, it's just great to see people that are doing great things. Heights CDC in the on National Street. They have that beautiful linear park and all the housing and Treadwell Park. And yeah, you go to these.
Let's talk about a linear park. I mean, some people may not know what that means, and then kind of a history of national,
Right.
And you talk about bridging and corridors, I think younger Memphians don't know that at some point we had this trolley system
Yes, we used
in
to.
Memphis. And so National was a key example of that
Yes.
trolley system. And we're going to talk about that a minute, but I also want to talk about a pretty bad word today, diversity. Because when I think about your community, I think about diversity. Because typically in Memphis, we don't really think about a community as diverse as the communities where you serve. We think homogenous, really kind of black and white. But before we talk about that diversity in your community, let's talk about that connection along National. What is a linear park?
So what is a linear park? I've never seen one before in Memphis. Yeah, so you talked about the old trolley lines that we used to have. This was great because it gave people access to get to grocery stores and things like this before everybody had cars. And so it was very vital. We see some of the challenges we have once we remove these things. But yeah, so now we have this big street with 2 lanes each direction and people just competition driving. And the community, along with Heights and a whole lot of people, put in a lot of effort to study and to get recommendations and feedback to kind of give this, it's a road diet. So we're going to cut down some of these lanes so we can slow the traffic down. Okay, that's great, but what does the community get? Well, now they have this nice linear park that runs right down National. It's lined with trees and benches. It's got a nice path for walking dogs and hosting community events as well. So that kind of it brings those people from those houses into the middle of the street where before it was just dangerous traffic.
Yeah,
So that's when you talk about bridging communities, that's definitely one of my favorite ways to do it.
yeah, because
With the
you
way they do it.
connect the west and the east side of National, and for years they probably didn't traverse there safely because of
Yeah.
the automobile traffic. But let's talk a little bit about the diversity of the Heights and Gaisman communities.
Oh, we have a very, very diverse community. We have a large Hispanic population, and there's people from Mexico, Honduras, Chile, Argentina, España, y todo el mundo. I'm sorry, all over the world. But we also have a large Arab population, and of course, the ones that didn't fly away are still here. So yeah, it really does. It's we all come together, and it's great to see it move. And now that we've got so many families, when you talk about community policing, this is the easy way to do it. All these people know each other.
They
They
know
know the
one another.
families. So yeah, our youth are less likely to act out if they know somebody's going to tell their grandmother or their mother. And so part of that, getting that familiarity and letting them know that this space is a safe space and it is for them. And to watch them be able to use it and come in and fill the space, because before there was just tall grass. So yeah, the diversity of it, it makes so much of a difference, and that we get so many voices when we come in to do projects. When we did the remodel of the Gaisman Community Center, we were very intentional in making sure that we reached out to each community to make sure that they had their chance to speak in their
That's
comfort.
very important that you mention that, because your work, starting with picking up litter so that your guests wouldn't have to see blight when they came to visit you, led to the multi-million dollar redevelopment of a community center. How old was the community center?
So it was right at 69 years old when they tore it down.
And got a brand new community center that really looked more like the community. It had soccer, or football for a Latinx community. Um, and talk more about that.
Well, I mean, it's just such a natural fit. And when you look at equity, especially equity in public spaces, soccer is probably right up there because really all you need is some shoes and a ball, right? So, and then children can teach it to each other. They can play it unsupervised. You can give them the opportunity, to follow that passion. So I've been doing this. I think our director, John Lowe, came over about 7 years ago. So we've had a great program for our youth. Now these kids are they're getting on their high school team. So now they're getting scholarships for college, so they're having this other passion. Other than just keeping them busy and keeping them healthy, there's that other product to where not only do they get to come out here, grow, learn, love, and have fun, but we're giving them the skills for them to get to the places, and then hopefully they'll come back and they'll keep it going. And we've seen that, I think, from a couple of them that just said, "Yeah, I just have to stay." So we have a lot of great neighbors that bring the energy,
Yeah.
that bring us what we need to keep the safe space, and just makes it so much fun to watch.
This has been great, Chris.
It really has.
Showing how a small act of picking up litter leads to connection with neighbors, leads to the redevelopment of a community center in a beautiful linear park along National Avenue. Thank you for joining me, Community
Oh,
Development
well,
Boo. Love being around you. I love your energy. We're going to take a quick break and come right back with closing thoughts.